Hey, hey, Blue Table fans! It's time for another giant business ramble. And apparently some people get something out of these, so I might just keep doing them. I might not. Who knows what I'm going to do next. And you all know the rule. I'm going to talk for as long as I want, and that is usually a long time. In fact, apparently I can get up and just monologue ad lib for like a half hour at least. So away we go. Here's the deal. It was a couple months ago, my wife took me to this marriage seminar thing, and it was called Royalty and Romance. Yeah, and I'm like, I've really got work to do. But, you know, you've got to, in a relationship, you have to sometimes go along with what the other person wants just because they want it. So I said, my dear, that you wish it is enough for me. So I put on my smiling face and I went, and I may have told this story elsewhere. I don't know, so excuse me for repeating myself. I'm going to keep a long story short. I started taking notes, and then more notes, and then more notes. And then I started getting ideas, and a little bit of inspiration creeping in there. And so, because a lot of times these self-help guys seem a little like snake oil salesmen, and but the fact is that you know, out of almost everything you can get something good, right? So long story short, I actually got a lot out of this, even though my mind was very resistant. And that is what I have found in the last few months, is that the human mind gets in its own sort of comfort level. It gets adjusted to where it is at the current time, and a change to that is often vehemently, vehemently violent, not like physical violence, but it is vehemently rejected. And it is difficult to get past that. So let's see here. And then I think it was about 2.5 weeks ago, I'm over at Sarah's house, so her and my wife are talking, and so I go over to the bookshelf and I pull out this book called You Were Born Rich, right? And I'm just like, I don't like anything with rich in the title, but see, that is a mental block. Sometimes you gotta let go of old ideas. So I just start thumbing through it, and I'm like, oh wow, this is pretty good. Well, I've read it twice now, and it's basically I'm tying in a line of things. There's a guy named Napoleon Hill, and he wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich, and that's really kind of a favorite. You know, it's a classic, and But before we go any further, let me just say, you know, and I may actually just put this on my personal channel. Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. But anyway, the word rich can mean different things to different people. So that's a good place to start. What is it that you want? So the good phrase I heard was, the good that you desire. What is it that you want? And that is riches, so to speak, is the good thing that you want. Because I'll bet you, if you went around to 10 different people and you asked them, okay, if you were rich, what would your life look like? They'd probably tell you 10 different things. Some would have humble desires, and some would have not so humble desires. Of course, why does that matter? Like, nobody in the history of the world had a refrigerator, right? So is it wrong for me to want something, to want a refrigerator? So there's that. Anyway, so then I started reading that book and listening to some audio series by Napoleon Hill, and that he's like an old Lawrence Welk, Marvin Perkins type guy, you know, and very personable. And so anyway, so I've just been reading all this and not necessarily, you know, absorbing everything as gospel truth, but you know, I'm starting to get new ideas. I'm like, oh, okay, wow, that's neat, and it's starting to infiltrate into the studio as well. Where was I going with all this? Okay, so so that's the first thing, the exercise I came up with, which is to set like a vision of, well, what's your ideal situation? The exercise I do, I call dream paper, which is I take some unusually colored paper, you know, like it's cloudy blue or something, and I say, I did this with my leadership types. I'm like, okay, take the piece of paper. This is magic paper. Whatever you write on it is going to happen. Interesting, right? What would you write on that? What is, as another way to put it, what is the good that you desire? What is the thing? Now, bear in mind that there were no limitations to what you could put on this paper. So, the only limitations are what you impose on yourself and what you let others impose on you. So I'm challenging a traditional, I guess, way of thinking, sort of an earth is flat thing, something that's bred into us from birth, a superstition, as it were, which is that for one person to do well, many people have to do below where they normally would have been. That a bunch of people have to be poor for one person to be wealthy. What if it's not that way? What if it really is just a matter of being in your mind? And that what prevents a person from successively breaking through the various stages of their life is simply an aimlessness, I'm going to say lack of ambition, but like, for example, right now, have you written down the things that you want out of life? Do you have them written down somewhere where you physically went, okay, this is what I'm hoping to achieve. This is the thing that I view as an ideal situation. Right? If the answer is no, guess what? Nothing's ever going to happen. Or put another way, how will your dreams come true if you never have a dream? And so what I've done, and I started this with the marriage seminar thing. The guy's name is Kirk Duncan. Again, I hate to say names because what I found is all the ideas that these guys have in their books or seminars or whatever, they're all just old, they're old stuff. They're like thousands of years old. Like I'm reading through, I'm like, oh, that's New Testament, that's New Testament, that's New Testament. And I'm sure a Buddhist would be like, oh, that's Buddhism, that's Buddhism, that's Buddhism. There's these really old ideas, many, 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 many thousands of years old. And they're simply, brought up and put in, so I guess, a different format. So from the Kirk Duncan thing that my wife took me to, and God bless her for doing it, because my wife gets me to kind of get out of my mold. And I have ambitions. I have things I'm doing. Obviously, there's a lot of creativity going on here. But it tends to be just focused in one direction, and I don't want to get out of that direction and see other things. So he talked about making a vision board, and this is a really old idea, but basically you just you put tape up in a square. I've seen them. I looked up like other sources for this. You do like a whiteboard, or you just have a defined area. And so I started putting stuff up on my vision board. And again, this is the idea of actually writing it down, the dream paper. So if you had your dream paper, and anything you wrote down there would happen, what would you write there if there were no limitations? So for example, in Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker can lift these rocks, right? But when he has to lift the X-Wing, he can't do it. And the point is, if you can lift this one small thing, you can lift this giant thing. There's really no limitations. The only limitation is here. There's a Zen saying, if I'm right, I just found it somewhere, that says to climb a mountain, start at the top. And my interpretation of that is start by setting, I'm not going to say a goal, I'm going to say a defined image, a defined mental image that you maintain persistent in your own mind. And no matter what happens, you won't accept anything except whatever that image is. So what happens is, if you put that there, your brain will actually start reverse engineering that to your current circumstances. Like, okay, this is how you need to do this, then this, then this, then this, and this. And and I would dare say circumstances begin to sort of pour in. The analogy I came up with, oh, and by the way, I could do this too. I could take all those books and those old ideas and reinvent them in this wonderful new way with my own analogies, right? So I've compared it to a giant swimming pool full of glowing, translucent cosmic energy. And this energy is special because it will form into whatever it is that you want it to be. Now, there's a little bit of quantum physics there, quantum mechanics, I don't know, that supposedly the universe isn't a fixed thing. It actually orders itself based on how you're looking at it, your perceptions of it. What? Yeah, I know, kind of weird to get your mind around that. Like, the universe isn't out there, already fixed. You go out, and as you perceive it, it changes into whatever it is that you are after. Schrodinger's cat. The cat is both dead and alive, and then you open it and perceive it. So anyway, back to the cosmic pool. So imagine at the pool side there are different metal containers. So there's like a little pail. There's a little teacup size thing. Then there's a big pail. Then there's a wash tub. And so you can grab whatever size you want. And so here's the rule. You can't scoop. You can only press. So as you press your container down into this stuff, there's resistance. But there's a point where you break that surface and everything rushes in. So, and that circumstances, people, money, resources, ideas, all will start rushing to you if you manage to break that surface tension. And I think it's not as hard as you think. Right now at the studio, I've compared it to, we have a hot tub sized bin, and we've actually weighed it out, and 7 of us are pressing down on this, and it almost instantaneously breaks that surface tension. All you have to do is decide the shape. Now you could have rocks in your pail. So if there's something already in there that's the wrong thing, you may break the surface, but it won't fill up right. And that's doubt, fear, worry, sense of failure, self-defeatism, already going, yeah, oh no, it's worthless, why even try? That's a bunch of hibbity-jibbity, you know. Okay, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You got to get out there and at least give it a shot. But more than that, go forward with confidence. I won't accept anything less than what this is. This is my ideal of success. And what's funny is, I thought, I can think of stuff I want, right? Oh no, I couldn't. It actually, in stages, I've kind of got it out to, oh wow, there's yet more amazing things. And I'm not just talking about physical resources. Riches can be family, they can be health, a sense of well-being, what's the word I'm looking for? A childlike state of carefreeness. So it might be different for different people. No one can tell you what to write on that little piece of dream paper. So I would encourage you to do that. Get out a piece of paper, write down whatever, and stick it on the wall. And maybe someone in your family will walk in and go, you're never going to do that. No, you can't be in here. I reject that. No, not going to come into my mind. Nope, that's what's going to happen. And that's that. And you let that image persist. So you imagine yourself in your ideal situation already, kind of like fantasizing about it until eventually that seed takes root inside your brain. This is how it's going to be. So, okay. So my vision board, got it down in my room, blue tape around it, and I started writing things in Sharpie. And my vision board isn't very good. I need to print some stuff off and actually stick it up pictures. The trick is you have to be excited about it. And so guess what? If you don't have something like that, yeah, it's not going to happen. And I would dare say you don't deserve it to happen because you won't even do that one thing. So I started putting stuff up there, and I got to tell you, it was really tough. It was really tough at first to every morning and every night look at that and put energy into it and say out loud, I want that. Give it to me now. And it's a little embarrassing, right? So it was like a big metal spike sticking out of that wall, where I was like, I just didn't want to look at it. It was too painful. And but now I love it. Now I can't get enough of it. I'm looking at it. I'm putting new things. I'm revising it. And what's happening is I'm shortening the distance between when I conceive of something and when it actually happens. I'm starting to chop this down like this. And I can't help but wonder if there's a thing where it actually comes into perfect harmony. That when you want something, you immediately get it. And that is dangerous. That is pretty scary. So I'm glad in this reality there is a buffer between what it is that pops into my head and what actually happens. Like that Twilight Zone episode with that kid, right? From the Twilight Zone movie, where whatever he wanted to have happen just instantaneously happened. Okay, there's all that. So let's talk about Valhalla. Yeah, that was all a setup for this next thing. So do recommend Napoleon Hill. In fact, I'm going to put a link up to his 2.5-hour Schlemiel. I think it was like a television series he did. You can find the whole book on audiobook. And you know what? Just pick through it and see if something's useful in there. I'm still very much in the infantile stages of this sort of thing. And in life, I feel like I'm a child. I have so much to learn. Every week goes. In fact, almost every day I learn something new where I'm like, wow, I sure was dumb 2 days ago, right? Okay, so let's talk about Valhalla. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of the company now. You might just like that. Here we go. I think it was a little high there. You're looking at me like, what? Is that right? Okay. So as you know, I hired Sarah on as kind of an assistant at first, and we have become fast friends and now business partners. And it was in about this time, 2010, 2 years ago, that Sarah's husband was out of work, and that was a misery. And we were like talking about how are we going to escape from serfdom, from not having anything, paycheck to paycheck. And so in a way, that was kind of the formulation of a desire to get out of serfdom. And by the way, we're not anywhere close yet, but we've made excellent progress. So she says to me one day, I'm talking about yurts. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to drop my house. I don't really own it. The bank owns it. And I'm going to find some way to buy a yurt, a couple of acres, and I'm just going to do a little homesteading and actually work, no debt, just work up to the point where I have a house and then a better house. The old school way, right? And so one day she says, hey, I'm going to look at some property. And I say, I don't want to horn in on your stuff, but I want a piece of that. So we head up to the canyon, up Spanish Fork Canyon, beautiful. And in fact, you can see videos of this, of us driving up there and they're somewhere on the channel. So we find a property out in this old defunct city called Thistle. So it's this it's like this mountain village. It's no longer there. All the buildings are wiped out. And we find that this plastic surgeon has kind of built his little mountain fortress up there. And I was like, that's it. That's what we want. And when we went in, that was like the greatest thing we'd ever seen. It's the scene where I go, worthy of the gods themselves, out over the valley. And boy, it was worthy of the gods themselves, because the quest has taken a new turn, which I will tell you presently. Hey, John, come on in. Don't be shy now. Did you bike down here? Good for you. That's awesome. John's not messing around. He's getting in shape. Okay, so we go out there, and we were like, okay, how are we going to purchase this property? It was 200 acres. It was gorgeous, great building, great value, right? And the cost was just over $2 million, right? Who am I? I have sprung forth from the trailer park to say the word 2 million. Words 2 million. And then they lowered it to 1 million. And it was like, we were just looking for a way to make that happen. It was crazy. But we had 2 Valhallas there. That was at the beginning of 2011, so a year and a half ago approximately. And they were tough. They were tough. We just kind of scraped it together, and we just made it happen. And that was our idea of how to pay for it, right? And then that idea, of course, over the years has grown. So we had 5 Valhallas in 2010. We will have had 5 or 6 this year. October marks the first Valhalla where we're booked up. And actually, we're renting an adjacent building to get 3 more people in. So we've got 1 ticket for that, and there's 2 spots for October. Whatever you do, get out to October Valhalla. It's going to be epic. And because we got mini wargaming there, and we have worthy painting there. Seriously, you're going to be at a 4-day wargaming mild house party with those guys. Oh, and us. Never mind Blue Table Painting and staff, right? So come on! So anyway, I cannot say that it has been easy. However, what I've realized is that I either get a blessing, a good thing, or I get a lesson, which looks like a bad thing, but is actually teaching me something very important. Or I get a third thing, which is also appears to be a bad thing, but is actually good, which is called preparation, meaning something's teaching me how to understand and receive the next greater good. Because if right now physical assets landed themselves in your lap, it would probably have a net negative effect, because you might not actually be ready for that. You might want it, but it might be that you don't understand it or have the skill to manage it. And I'm talking about practical skill. Like you need some bookkeeping skills to, balance your checkbook. If you can't balance your checkbook when you're only making $1,000 a month, how would you make it? How would you do it if you were earning $100,000 a month? You just have much bigger problems that could possibly destroy you. So I'm grateful for all of it, and I'm ready to work slowly, stage by stage, to achieve what the next great thing is. But at all times, I will have present before me on my vision board a end in mind. And my vision board, by the way, is pretty scary. It is. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if I'm not gravitically attracting the moon to crush me. But guess what? You will get those lessons and preparation as you need them. So where were we? So Valhalla, so the Thistle place collapsed. It actually was sold, which is all the guy wanted to do, is he wanted to liquidate some of his stuff and get his life in order. So starting, I do believe it is in April or June, of last year, we started doing Valhallas up in Sundance. And those are awesome. That place is 6,000 square feet. It's a mansion. It's tough to beat because the rule of Valhalla is that each new location must be equally awesome or more awesome than the last location. And that is a tough order to fill, right? So, but the Sundance place is 6,000 square feet, and it's starting to feel, just starting. There's still plenty of room, but it's starting to feel like we have reached our capacity there. Well, and literally, if we're selling more tickets than are available, then yeah, that's the very definition of capacity. I'm not talking about fire marshal capacity. Yeah, you gotta kiss a lot of toads before you find your frog. You've got to. So Sarah and I we're used to disappointment now. We've grown. We don't accept it, but we realize, like, if something doesn't work out, I'm like, oh, that must have been a lesson. What did I learn from that? How did this prepare me for the next awesome thing? And so we go out and we look at properties. We get out of our shell. We drove 2 hours to San Pete, and I did not like it down there. I hate to say it, but see, that's part of the lesson. You have to go through those things in order to appreciate it when the good thing finally does come along. So that leads to a bit of large news, which is we think we found Valhalla. Surprising, right? Okay, so as you know, it is our sincere and ardent desire to own a location that we codenamed Valhalla, which is a place where our clients, our families, and leaders in the industry on a very small scale, very small but concentrated scale, can meet and not only have a good time with food and wargaming, but also a meeting of the minds, a place where you can talk shop, talk industry, that's big shop, and also also a little bit of life in there. Actually have a life experience. And so we're keeping it extremely small, very low key, but very intense and concentrated. So basically, we went up to see a place in Park City. Yeah, that's right, Park City. Where they had the Olympics. And Park City, I got to tell you, we went there and we're kind of looking at some, at kind of the city life there. Amazing! Oh my gosh, they have so much cool stuff there. It's ridiculous. You should look it up. You should look up what Park City's about. So we found this property, and it is on a mountain outside of Park City, about maybe 15 minutes. And it is, I just have to say, we created it here, and it actually happened. That for a long time I was saying, you know what? I'll bet you there is a place where somebody has built it already, but it's not being used. For some reason, maybe they ran into some trouble, or they're just moving on in their life, and that they've already done it for us. And and by the way, this isn't like we did a lot of footwork and looked at a lot of places, and there's a lot of dead ends you got to go down. But anyway, so we go up to this place. It's ridiculous. I took a video of it. I'm not sure if I want to make that public yet, but it's so beautiful. Aspen, oak, maple. We saw, what did we see? We saw a moose, pheasant, deer, hawk, like all these native animals. Just on the drive up, they're going about their business. So you drive up there. It is at the top of a mountain. Like, you get up there and you're seeing the valley. You can actually see the Olympic ski runs across the valley. And it's so gorgeous. And the house is it's something like 10,000 some odd square feet. So it's almost twice the size of the one we're in now. And it is no less awesome. It's amazing. And this is to buy. Right now this is empty. It needs the exterior done. We want to put in like this super outdoor living type of, I'm going to say deck, but people think wood then. I'm talking like stonework and steps and hot tubs, lap pool, that kind of thing. Oh yeah, I said hot tubs, plural. So everything is like malleable. It's, like I've said, you got to have 8 failures to have 1 success. That's a good ratio for business. And so this might not work out, but we have very positive feelings about this particular avenue right now. And we believe it's within reach. And so you never know what's going to happen. Because the thistle thing, that would have been bad for us. Because that whole thing imploded, and it was disappointing, but because it imploded, that actually was good for us because it allowed us to do the studio, which, by the way, is very close to completion, and it gave us lessons. We learned something new at every single stage. So that's the big breaking news: is we may have found Valhalla, the one that we're going to do, and the wow factor of this place is the elevation. It's so beautiful up there. It's 20 degrees cooler in Park City than in Salt Lake City, and I think it's just a tad even cooler than that up on this mountainous hill. And I'm talking like, I don't know, it's at least maybe 700 feet above the nearest thing. It's up there, and it's secluded. And like the driveway is like wah, and it's like switchbacks. And when you get there, it's just like, wow, you are completely in another world. It feels like when we went up there, we were just like, oh my gosh, this feels like home of the gods. So we didn't get our lake, but we did get elevation, which is absolutely super. And never mind, Park City is like just down the drive. It's probably, I said 15 minutes away, was it? So we're super, super incredibly excited about it. And we're pursuing it vigorously at this time. So we shall see. But I want to be clear that I'm starting with nothing. Like, I started all this in my garage, and with basically just my paint set and an idea. But what was the real asset that I have still? It's this, my brain. If only I knew then what I knew now, I could have gotten here so much faster. And that makes me wonder, well, what don't I know now? What am I doing wrong right now? Well, nothing for it except to keep voraciously reading and finding out new ideas and new things, and not waste my time on trivialities, on things that aren't of merit, on a lot of TV. And the only thing that you can really control in life, a God-given gift, is this right here. You can control what it is you are thinking about and what it is that you truly desire. This you can change. And I would submit to you that is the real asset that anybody has. So we are all created equal in that sense. And so I'm going to break a superstition. The world is round. That everyone can do well for themselves and can achieve the goals that they set forth for themselves, if only you have this. If you get your mind in order and set your mind to it. It sounds so cliched, but it's true. I mean, there was a point when I was 9 years old, my bedroom was the bed of a truck. Oh, no truck attached. It had been chopped off, given a trailer hitch, canopy on top, and inside of it, so that's how I would get into my rooms. I would lift up that back flap thing, and I would crawl in, and there was a sleeping pad, a bedroll, and a kerosene lamp. How did I survive childhood, right? And a big stack of books. And, okay, so if you can start with that and build something out of it, how does that happen? And right now, my belief is I want other people to do well. And I want to be standing next to them while that happens. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be great to have a group of people nearby who were thinking positively and were achieving things, were going forward with goals that had their own thing? And so the thing is, that's the beauty of it, is the universe is infinite, and you can just keep scooping out that cosmic stuff as much as you want. And if all eternity passes, you won't have scooped it all out. You will not have gotten to the end of it. Endless creation, endless bounty. And the thing that makes you do well, wealthy, as defined by you, is it's already been given to you. It's right here. Is to maintain a persistent image of how you want things to be and make reality into what it is that you are envisioning for yourself. But step one is get out your dream paper, nail it to the wall. What a beautiful thing. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. As usual, it's not my intention to be preachy. If you're here, then obviously you're getting what you deserve, because it does say huge business ramble. All the best to you. Things are going to get better. Things are going to not just go from bad to okay. They're going to go from bad to okay to absolutely awesome in ways that you don't even understand right now. So keep it up.